I don't see it as a validation from the West. Winning a prestigious award is always a great recognition for a filmmaker, whether it is a national award that we won for Baahubali, or it is an Oscars or Golden Globes or BAFTA. It is about getting access and opening up newer markets and newer audience. Earlier, entire South was clubbed as one industry even by the North. Now, most people know that South is not one region, but there are multiple languages. You do need deep pockets in the sense that, but it pays off. So if you are able to pull it off, it does pay off in terms of more box office revenue, more non-theatrical revenue, etc. Especially in India, somehow we think that anything and everything can be lobbied or bought, and I think that is really no truth to that, and it is a huge disrespect to both the filmmakers, the films, and the awards itself.
Hello, this is Anna Isaac, and joining me today is Shobu Yarlagadda. He is a producer, produced Baahubali, and we're here to discuss the Oscars. It is, of course, Oscar season, and we here in India have a lot to celebrate with 3 nominations. Of course, RRR's Naatu Naatu for Best Original Song has been nominated. All That Breathes has been nominated for Best Documentary Feature Film, and The Elephant Whisperers for Best Documentary Short. I just want to start off by asking you, what does an Oscar nomination mean for Indian cinema and the film industry in general?
If I have to put it in one word, I think it's a larger audience. There's a bigger audience out there that will appreciate the film, not just these 3 films, but based on that, there is a possibility, and a very good possibility, that people will look back into what are the other films in the different genres and whether they will enjoy. So it brings focus into Indian cinema, and thereby bringing a larger audience and a bigger market for Indian cinema. That's my hope.
What do you say to people who say that, why do we need, the West's validation or the US's validation?
Absolutely. I think that is a misconception. It is not about validation from the West as much as at least the way I see it. I don't see it as a validation from the West. Winning a prestigious award is always a great recognition for a filmmaker, whether it is a national award that we won for Baahubali, or it is an Oscars or Golden Globes or BAFTA, which are well recognized across in the internationally, or being in one of the major film festivals like Cannes or Berlin or Toronto. They all it is not about being recognized again, but it is about getting access and opening up newer markets and newer audience, and getting more people to appreciate and enjoy or see your film, whether it is a documentary or whether it's a commercial film or it's an art film. It is just getting it into a bigger audience. And something like, suppose a Oscar-winning film or an Oscar-nominated film, if it is on Netflix, more people will get to see it. Or if it's on a streaming platform like All That Breathes is on Netflix, and the moment it is nominated for a prestigious award and a prestigious, people talk about it, and people get to see it. People have more inclination to see it. So it's one more way of getting people to see the film, and I think, and thereby increasing the audience, and that's my perspective of it.
The West and the US generally sees India as Bollywood. Do you think that that's changed, that people are more receptive to South Indian cinema, to Telugu cinema? Have you seen that, like, the market is opening up for South Indian films?
Yes, I think that has definitely happened, and I think starting with Ega, Baahubali, and a few other films, there has been now to a larger extent a distinction with that. India is not just one film industry like most other countries in the world, but it is a collection of industries, and that distinction and that awareness has come in the international audience to a large extent. And especially the people who are in the industry and who follow the industry. Now it's much more like earlier, entire South was clubbed as one industry even by the North. Now most people know that South is not one region, but there are multiple languages. And in the same way, I think many of our films have broadened the scope and said that it is not just one industry, but there are multiple industries.
Some days ago, you had put out a long Twitter thread on the steps to win an Oscar. Can you just
Yeah.
run us through the process and what made you actually put out that detailed tweet thread?
Yeah, so it actually goes back to my when we produced Morning Raga in almost 20 years ago, 18 to 20 years ago, and our US distributor at the time had applied for the Oscars, and it was listed in the reminder list at that time, which is basically the eligibility films that are eligible for voting in the Oscars. And so he at the time he was very excited and he wanted to make a big deal about it, and that's when I looked deeper into it, and then figured that it is just a simple eligibility criteria, that if it plays in, at that time it was just LA, now it is one of the few territories in US for a week, and a few more conditions, then you're eligible to apply to the Oscars, and any film that applies and meets this criteria is accepted by the Oscars, and they put out a list which says these are all the films that applied and are eligible for nomination. Which is by in itself is nothing significant, because it's a very simple criteria, and apart from that criteria, the Oscars or the committee or the Academy has not done anything further to say whether it is to do anything further basically with it. It's just a huge collection of films that are eligible and applied. So it's really doesn't speak of the quality or the anything about the film in itself. So it's for me it is not a big, it's not an achievement, it's not a milestone for any filmmaker or a thing. And I noticed that the same discussion was happening online with a few more films recently, and I felt that I just needed to put it out so that people are more aware of the.
So, in terms of the criteria, most big budget films in India, of India rather, do tend to run in the US for at least a week. Is that right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's the criteria, that any, if you want to apply for Oscars, it has to play in a commercial theater in a commercially for a week, paid audience for a week, and at least one show in the evening, and certain criteria. But that's the criteria. So people do, to apply for Oscars, people do just run it in theaters for a week to qualify for the Oscars. So if you notice, Netflix would primarily do a Netflix release, but they would also do a very limited release in the US markets. That's because that will allow them to qualify for awards. Yeah.
There's been a lot of buzz that you've been helping out with the RRR campaign, Oscar campaign. Any truth to that in terms
No.
of publicity and marketing?
No, nothing. I'm just absolutely nothing. It's I don't want to take credit for which is not there. It is primarily being led by Kartikeya, the line producer in the team, and of course there's a local team that is helping Kartikeya, Walls and Trends, and then there is the variance is the US distributor, and Josh is from Potentiate Films. So there's a bunch of teams that have been driving it primarily through from Kartikeya has been driving through them, and they had taken the lead, and they've been pushing it when they saw an opportunity. So I have nothing in this except being a very dear friend and a well-wisher, and being closely associated with the family and Rajamouli and all entire team. So that's
All right, fair enough. We know that films, whether in India or the US, they spend a lot of money on marketing and publicity in the run-up to the films. But very few people realize that a lot goes behind the scenes into ensuring that that people actually go ahead and watch the film. In terms of critics, can you just run us through that? Like in terms of like what is the campaign, a marketing campaign before the Oscars?
Right. So from what I've understood, see, there are multiple critics associations across the country, across US, and so all these critics, and some of them have a very good reputation, and some are very well regarded, like the New York film critics and the LA film critics. And then there's the Golden Globes, which is also Hollywood foreign press. So there's a lot of these that are come from the critics and the press, a lot of these awards. And the other is the like the Golden Globes, and so not the Academy and the BAFTA, which is more of the industry people. From the industry itself. Academy has about close to 10,000 members from various 16 crafts of the industry. So like when I say craft, like editing, sound, direction, acting, writing. So from around 10,000 members spread across the world and across the different crafts. So there are two aspects to a campaign. One is of course, the best would be if you're featured in one of the prominent film festivals, where you get recognition, or if you get an award like the Toronto or again Cannes or Sundance. These give a lot of mileage, where it gets noticed by the people that, hey, this looks like this is one of the films that is this year getting recognition for whatever, be it one of the crafts or direction or as a best film. That's one area that starts that happens. And the second is when critics start recognizing the film, so that because all these critics association then start voting for the awards. So the idea is to get this film. If you see a buzz and if you see a potential that your film has an opportunity and a possibility of getting recognized, that is a big thing to understand whether your film really has a potential to connect with these audiences, right? That's not just about an Indian film, whether it is a Hollywood film or anything. Most films might not get to that point. And studios make specific films which they believe will have an appeal for the awards audience. So once you believe that your film has a potential, then you need to do a campaign, that's a PR campaign and a marketing campaign targeting the critics and the industry people, specifically who are the voters in these different awards. And so each award leads up to, so that's the campaign that was led by RRR team, where they full-fledged campaign where it's about getting screenings, getting people to introduce the film, and PR, getting written about it. It's very similar to what we would do to promote a film in India for our audience, to get our audience to notice and come to theaters, except here it is focused to a very specific segment of people. And then you hope that you get traction in the awards. That's what happened with RRR, where they got traction in the New York Film Critics, which was a big boost for the campaign, where Rajmouli was got the best director, which is one of the more prestigious awards to be selected for. Then the LA Film Critics, then the Golden Globes, and then all this lead up to the grand finale, so to say, to the Oscars. So it's a culmination of that.
And tens and millions of dollars are spent on this, right? Imagine, getting like 10,000 people to go ahead and watch the film so that they would vote for your film, right? So
there is absolutely, there's definitely money and time and resources involved, and also having the right people and the right teams on board who can guide you, because it's like a jungle, especially for people, for a filmmaker from India to go there and make an impact. It is we are not aware of this, because like Western audiences, Western studios are used to this process day in and day out. They do it year on year, so they know the whole. It's like on a pipeline that they do it. But for us, it's a learning process. It's finding your feet, and then trying to understand, especially the monies involved. Is it worth spending that kind of money? What do we get out of it in terms of promoting it? All these are definitely concerns, and yeah, it does involve significant resources in money and time.
I actually read that when Parasite won the best Oscar for the best picture a couple of years ago, they actually spent around $10 million for marketing, for publicity, and for essentially lobbying, right? So would you say that with you have to run the film circuit, the critic circuits, the film festivals, and all of that, you would require deep pockets to ensure that you win an Oscar or any of the other international film awards?
Absolutely. You do need, because it's like you do need deep pockets in the sense that, but it pays off. So if you are able to pull it off, it does pay off in terms of more box office revenue, more non-theatrical revenue, etc. But yeah, deep pockets are needed, and yeah, a large amount of money is spent in promoting the film. Again, like I said, it's very similar to if I were to promote a film, my film, let's say in Telugu, I would need X amount. If I want to promote it in South India, it's X plus something else. And if it's pan India, I would like to spend something more. And whether I believe that my film ultimately has the potential to do whether work only in Telugu, or it's South Indian film, or a pan India film, and based on which I need to make a judgment call whether I see a potential and an opportunity to invest that kind of money, and will I recover that kind of money. So it's a business decision. And I just want to correct you on one thing. Lobbying is not the right word. It is used loosely, but it is not lobbying. Actually, lobbying is not allowed, and not permitted. So lobbying means that you are asking someone to vote for you, or you're inducing someone to vote for you, which is not the case. But here it is purely a marketing and promoting to get the film seen by as many people as possible. So it's about bringing this film to the notice of people, and hoping that they would actually take the time to watch it, and after watching it, they would like it to vote for you. But you have no say in actually beyond getting it to the people's notice, right? So it's not like you can call them and say, please vote for me, or you can give them some induce them in some other way to uh, ask them to vote for you. That doesn't happen. That's nearly impossible. It's primarily about like how you would promote a film to a general audience. It's not lobbying the audience. It is marketing the film to an audience to bring them to theater and hope that they like the trailer, or they like the PR that is put out to come to the theater. It is about hoping that that you're focusing on this specific audience, that they will like what they're seeing, and they take the time out to come, because they have 300 films this year. And 10,000 members. So you have to stand out in those 300 films. So promotion is basically how you stand out in that, and get people to notice you.
Okay. But what would you say to people who say that, these awards are all bought? How would you respond to that?
That's a very immature and ignorant remark. I think I think especially in India, somehow we think that anything and everything can be lobbied or bought, and I think that is really no truth to that, and it is a huge disrespect to both the filmmakers, the films, and the awards itself. If you have to just say that, if you just say it's something can be bought. Yeah.
Okay. My final question is, what do you think India's chances are to win an Oscar this year?
I think both the documentaries, All That Breathes, and this one,
Elephant
the
Whispers.
Elephant Whispers, both have a great chance of winning the Oscars. They have been well appreciated both in the festival circuits and by the critics, and I think they stand a very good chance. Naatu Naatu song also, I think, has a decent chance, has a good chance. I'm optimistic on all three. Let's see. We might be bringing home 3 Oscars this year.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much once again. Hopefully, India will return with 3 Oscars. That is what you're saying. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely talking to you. Bye.
Lovely talking.